Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I wanted to talk about obviously the final episode here, because the final episode is just hours away now before it's released. And I wanted to give some thoughts, just going into this episode here, because obviously, a lot of people right now are very, very nervous because this is a big episode. This is a really, really big episode. It's honestly like, in terms of how this could end, it could really set up the Walking Dead universe for years to come. Or is it just the end and then the Walking Dead universe? I mean, it's still going to continue, obviously. Like Daryl Dixon season 2 and the Varian Walker stuff is like very, very interesting, but it's obviously not going to be the same if this is the end of Rick and Michonne, right? So I do want to give some thoughts on the whole thing here, and yeah, just get into that a lot more here. So before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. Now, I will be doing a live stream tonight. Actually, I'll be doing a live stream on Twitch reacting to the episode as soon as the episode drops. So in a few hours from now, like if you haven't followed me on Twitch, definitely go do so. My channel name is Appetite for the Dead. The link for that will be in the description of this video, and I'll react to the episode on there, obviously do a Q&A and all that with you guys, and then I'll do a review. And yeah, so I'll have all that out tomorrow. There'll be a lot of videos out tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be, I'm going to try to be as non-spoilery as I can, obviously, and wait until the episode actually airs. Yeah, just expect videos on certain things there. I'll probably do some videos talking about a season 2 and how that could happen and whatnot, because tomorrow night we're also getting our first like teaser trailer or something like that for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 2. So I do want to obviously break that down tomorrow night and all that, and get into all that. So there's going to be a lot to talk about tomorrow night. And again, there's going to be a lot of videos and stuff. So, but yeah, so just to get into some thoughts here. I mean, obviously going into the very final episode, a concern I have is just, are they going to do this properly? Are they going to be able to, give us a really good ending here? And I did a poll yesterday because I was sort of curious. I wanted to know how everyone felt about a season 2, because I've just been like under the impression, I mean, first of all, I see a lot of comments of people saying, I want a season 2, I want a season 2, but I will also see comments of people saying, no, we don't need a season 2. It's perfect how it is. This was always supposed to be just 6 episodes and all of that. And I agree with that. They did say that originally, but that has changed. Like, that has changed a lot. And we'll get into that in a second, because there's actually a new quote from TV Line from Denai Guerrera and Scott Gimple. So yeah, we'll get into that in a second here. But this was the poll that I did here. I asked everyone, important question, do you want a season 2 of hashtag The Ones Who Live? And the poll got 640 votes. And yeah, overwhelmingly, obviously, most people want a season 2. 91.3%, right, said yes. 8.8% said no. So crazy difference. Most people want a season 2. And when you look at the comments of like a lot of the Walking Dead's posts, like AMC's The Walking Dead and all that, everyone's like season 2, like everyone wants a season 2. So it seems like, regardless of how this story ends, everyone would want a season 2. And I think the reason why is because the show hasn't really felt like enough. Like I really enjoyed this first season quite a bit, but in terms of the overall hype, that we originally had when Rick first left the show, and going into like, the movie trilogy and all that, and what that story was going to be with the CRM and all of that, this definitely has been very underwhelming, and it's because obviously some of the story parts have changed. They're focusing more on reuniting Rick and Michonne. So I totally understand that. And I think in terms of them doing that, yeah, they achieved that, and they did that really, really well. And I'm actually happy with what they did. And I think that, structurally, it probably makes a lot more sense. Like, say they were to do 3 seasons. The first season, you reunite everyone. Like, even if Rick reunites with Judith and RJ, right, you could still do CRM stuff. You would just have them all together, sort of thing, for season 2. And I think that would also be really interesting, because it would create a bunch of, storylines that would be very different in terms of, Rick. I mean, there could be an episode in season 2 just focused on Rick and Judith, and then Rick and RJ, right? And just them, connecting, and people want to see all of that, right? I think that's where you can really go, for a season 2, is you could explore all of that, at the same time, expand the CRM story a lot more. So there's a lot of places that you can go here in a season 2, if that is the case. Obviously the story can change quite a bit here, and maybe the show ends with one of them dying, or maybe they just stay at the CRM and they don't go back and see Judith and RJ, right? It's hard to see where all of this is going to go. And to get into a quote here, so I will leave a link down below to this article here. This is from tvline.com, and this is on the discussions of whether or not there's going to be a season 2. So the quote here, or I guess the excerpt here from the article here, says they were asked about a season 2, and all of them basically answered pretty much right away. And Denai Guerrera responded to TV Line's question about a possible season 2 with "can't answer that," as Gimple said, "Let's just be quiet on this one." So I find that very, very interesting. And the reason why I find that interesting is because if it's a limited series like you originally announced, what's different now? Why are you all of a sudden, "Oh no, actually we can't answer that"? Like, you originally announced this as a limited series. You said it's only 6 episodes. And every time I bring this up, a lot of people are always pointing out, well, it's only 6 episodes. Okay, fine. If it's just 6 episodes, why won't they confirm that here? Why won't they just say, no, it's only 6? Because that's what they were saying before, right? Well, I would argue that. Like they always said, well, there's going to be 6 episodes. I've never really seen anyone say it's only 6 episodes, though I guess I would see the limited series here and there and whatever. But again, if it was just that, why not just say that, right? But all of a sudden, Denai Guerrera can't, respond to that. Andrew Lincoln's not responding to it. And then Gimple also is, again, not responding to that, right? And he actually says, let's just be quiet on this one. So I am just so curious on how this is going to end now, because it seems like there is going to be a season 2. Like, it just feels like that's going to be the next part here. Like, again, if it was 6 episodes, I feel like you would just say that it was only 6 episodes because, again, you already confirmed that, right? But there's been such I don't know, that they haven't addressed it. Like, that's been my whole thing about this. And this is why everyone is talking about this still, is because if it was just 1 season, then they would just say that it was just 1 season. But there's always this sort of like not talking about it and whatever about it, right? Like, I just feel like you're giving fans a lot of hope by doing that. And then imagine if we watch this episode and it's like, oh, actually, never mind, they can't do a season 2. The whole story's done now, right? People are going to be very disappointed. So I just think that, if they're saying it like this, maybe it ends in a way where it's like, oh yeah, for sure there's a season 2. And also that's really awesome in terms of how the story ends. And so, obviously maybe that was sort of intentional, but that is sort of the debate going into this episode. I feel like, for this finale, people aren't really watching it because they're wondering how this is going to end. I mean, that's a part of it, obviously, but I think that the number one thing here is like, I mean, it's kind of mixed with it, I guess. It's really just like, how is this going to end? And like, is there going to be a season 2? Like, is this it, right? Like, is this actually the end? And maybe that is sort of what they wanted fans to think going into this episode here, is everyone, because everyone is wondering, like, is this the end of Rick and Michonne? Is this going to be it? And like, for me personally, if this season ends with them reuniting with Judith and RJ, I think that, for a season, it's honestly, in terms of the storyline, it could work out really, really well. I just think that it depends on the CRM stuff. Like, if they reunite with Judith and RJ, I would still want the CRM to be around. I hope Beale doesn't die. Because if Beale dies, like, I feel like all of this is going to be really ruined, and I will really not like the episode a lot. So if the CRM could still be around, and if there's a way that, they can reunite with Judith and RJ, then I feel like that's a way that it could work, right? Where you still can do a season 2, but you would just have Judith and RJ in that show. But also there's the whole, like, is Alexandria going to be destroyed and all that, right? Like, that's one thing about all of this that I'm really wondering about. Like, is Alexandria going to be destroyed here in the finale? So that's also another part. And I just go back to this quote, and, they're not really like confirming that it's only 6 episodes. They're just saying like, we can't answer that and whatever. And one thing that Gimple does say here, and we actually saw this like a long time ago, or not that long ago. This was like last month or something like that. But I guess we didn't hear the entirety of, what he said here. But this part here we did say, and he was asked about a season 2, and Gimple did actually say that, like, anything is possible. And, that quote that's been sort of around there. But he says, "We're focused on this one right now," he added. "But this one came together in a really amazing way where there were all sorts of plans and the world changed. So we altered those plans and wound up with something we really liked." So I'm curious about what that means. Like, did the story change a lot where you sort of ended up with something that you really, really liked? And so now maybe that makes it possible for a season 2? Like, is that what that means? Like, I'm not entirely sure what this means. So I think that this story is going to have some sort of conclusive ending. It does feel like that. Like, if you were to ask me, like, will this have a conclusive ending in any way. I think in terms of what they've said about this story here for season 1 or whatever this is, yes, I think it will. I think it's going to end in a way where it is like, it tells a certain storyline. Again, it could be the whole like Grimes family, I guess, reuniting and all of that. That could be a big part here. And I could just see fans being really happy about how, you know, that was told overall, but it depends. Like, for me personally, I just don't want this story to be rushed. And it's hard to picture how they're going to, like, if Judith and RJ, you know, reunite with Rick and Michonne, I'm like, how are they going to do that in this episode without it feeling rushed? Like, I feel like it's going to happen so fast. So I don't know how that's possible. That's why I'm kind of thinking that it's probably not going to happen in this episode, but there has to be some sort of conclusive ending to the story here. And I feel like that's probably the last part to it, but it is hard to say. And just in a couple hours from now, we are going to know. And so, yeah, I am very nervous about going into this episode because I think they got to make this episode really epic and really just epic for fans. I think fans have to be, you know, obviously overall happy with it. I do think people are going to be mixed about it, though. Like, that's kind of my thoughts going into it because I've been seeing early reviewers saying that they don't like it or they're very mixed on it. And some people are saying it's good and all that, but I'm just like, oh, is there something about this episode that people aren't really liking too much? So I don't know if I'm going to feel that way, but that is a little interesting, right? And I do think, yeah, like you're not going to make everyone happy, obviously. But yeah, I'm very curious on where this is going to go overall. I just, again, everyone's feeling the same way. You know, everyone's been talking about that in the Discord server. And I also see it in the comments here and stuff. Everyone's very, very nervous about this. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, everyone, I think if we got a season 2, if there was like confirmation of a season 2, no one would feel nervous, right? But it's the fact that this might be the end. That's why everyone feels really nervous, because all of a sudden there's so much expectation now for this episode. I don't know if that's going to be a bad thing. Like if they announce a season 2 beforehand, like if they eventually announce a season 2, I will look back and wonder, like, why didn't you just announce it beforehand? I mean, I guess I do get it. They want you to watch the episode. Like, that also could be a part of it too. I'm not even going to try to criticize that too much because, you know, they want you to watch the entire show just to know. But I will be curious on like, well, why did you announce it as a limited series originally? And then there was so much confusion over the years. Like, why didn't you just kind of clarify that? But maybe it is because of the story part to it. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. We're just hours away until the finale here. So post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.